Hey, welcome back to the Treeline YouTube channel. I'm Chelsea, and this is episode 5 of the Yarn Podcast. Welcome back. It's been about a month. I had every intention of filming these podcasts a little closer together. I want to start doing 2 to 3 week updates instead of monthly updates. However, this month was a doozy. I was audibly ill in my last podcast, and that sickness continued on. It dragged on for a long time. I had other health conditions arise from it. It's been a month of sickness for me. So I didn't get a ton of knitting done over this last month, but I do have some updates. I've got lots of finished objects, 3 to be exact, that I finished during the month of May. 1 new project, and then a big yarn haul at the end. I guess first off, you might notice I'm in a little bit of a different environment than I usually am, and that's because I moved to New York City over the last month. Yes, while I was sick, which has been something that kind of added to my trials in May. I decided to move to New York kind of at the end of last year, and I should say this is kind of a short, definitely a short-term move, especially now that I've been here for a month. Don't know how much longer I can take it. But I decided to move here kind of at the end of November. I visited, went to a few Broadway shows, was really inspired by the writing. I felt like I was learning a lot. Delivery man's here. I felt like I was learning a lot from what I was watching on stage, more than I've been learning in my college classes. I don't know if I mentioned before, I'm working towards a creative writing degree. I decided to go back to college the last 2 years. January 2021 was my first quarter, to get my creative writing degree in case I want to work somewhere in publishing, editing. Unsure, 30 years old, still unsure. Yeah, I was starting to feel like New York might be the best place to keep my writing momentum going. I've been working on a young adult novel for the last few years, and I really want to finish it this year, so I decided to move to New York for the summer, and I have a lot of mixed feelings about whether I want to stay the whole summer at this point. I am subletting on the Upper West Side. I found a sublet via Craigslist, which was a little scary, but it's turned out okay. The apartment is okay. I'm not a big fan of the guy's art. He's got all around the apartment, so I just put up my hand knit sweaters because they bring me joy. I think that's all the major updates to share. I'm feeling a lot better health-wise, so hopefully I still have a little bit of a cough that comes on occasionally, but I think overall my voice sounds a lot better than it did last episode. So I think we can dive into starting to chat through all of my projects that I did during May and that I started. So my first finished object is the sweater that I'm wearing. It's my sweater number 1, which is a pattern from My Favorite Things Knitwear that I knit with Olivia and Oliver Fibers Suri silk in Antique Rose, which is the variegated color, and I held that together with Knitting for Olive's soft silk mohair in Dusty Rose. And I think they made a great pair. I'll try to stand up without really moving my camera too much. But here it is. I definitely stretched it out when blocking. So it blocked a lot larger than it was when I finished. It's quite long, as you can see. So I kind of just scrunch it up around my waistband and maybe do like a half tuck, I don't know. But it definitely turned out, it's roomy, I would say. I do think the fit was a bit better before I blocked it, but I am really happy with how the stitches kind of bloomed, really, I think is the word that people use. You know, everything kind of softens and melts into itself and looks a lot more polished. And I just had a blast knitting this. It took me about a month, exactly a month. I started April 4th and finished on May 4th, and wore it out before I blocked it because I was so excited to wear it. And I wore it out to an event the day that I finished it, and got it was a good thing I wore it before I blocked it because I got olive oil down the front from dipping bread quite messily. So when I got home literally that night, I put it in the wool wash bath and kind of rubbed out my little stain. I'm not usually a clumsy person, so I have no reservations about wearing my hand knits out and about, but you know, we all have our moments. I feel like, I don't know if it's the yarn or the pattern, maybe a combination of both, but I feel like this is such a great piece in between kind of a dressier feel and a casual feel. The event that I went to, I wore it with some jeans and ankle boots and like a little handbag, and I felt like elevated enough to be there. And so it's really fun to have like a going out blouse top sweater situation that I made. So satisfying. So I just love this piece so much. I think I mentioned in my last podcast, this yarn combination is not itchy to me at all. I feel like I have pretty sensitive skin considering I knit my novice sweater with Drops Air, which is an alpaca wool blend, and I find that pretty much unwearably itchy. I have to wear a long sleeve under it, like a thermal or a base layer. But I'm encouraged to know that with the Suri silk blend, and particularly knitting for Olive's soft silk mohair, those are two fibers I can use that will not bother my skin. So it's nice to kind of have that as a reference point in the back of my mind. So I don't have any negative things to say about this project. I loved the process of it. I love wearing it. Oh, I thought somebody just knocked, but I think it was my fridge. Not knocking on the fridge, but just making a noise. Anyway, so yeah, this is actually the sweater I usually have hanging up there just because it brings me so much joy, but I wanted to wear it as my finished object today, so I swapped them out. I think that's all I have to say about this project. It's one of those projects that turned out exactly how I had it pictured in my mind, which I feel like is kind of rare because it's hard to tell with variegated yarns how exactly it will work up, and I'm just so thrilled with how this one turned out. Okay, my next finished object is my camisole number 2. This is another My Favorite Things knitwear pattern, and mine is a cropped version, as you can see. I knit this out of one skein of sock yarn from Barnyard Knits in the color Coffee Beans. It is a tonal. You can see it turned out quite stripy, as if it was a variegated style, but it's all one shade, so I think that still qualifies as a tonal. It's knit from the bottom up, and now that I know how much yarn was used for the top, not much at all. I definitely could have gotten away with adding another 2, 3, 4 inches of the body to make it a bit longer. Another faux pas that I made was extending this ribbing quite a bit. It's supposed to be about 2.5 centimeters, which is like about half as wide as it is. And while I was knitting it, I got confused with another pattern and thought it was supposed to be 5 centimeters. So I realized too late, but I actually like how thick the ribbing is with the cropped length of the body. I think that it works really well together, and this isn't the type of thing I would usually wear like out in public by itself, but I have been wearing it around the house a lot. It's a great lounge top, goes with my sweatpants real well. It's very comfy. I did have a few issues with this pattern. Mostly I was confused about how to pick up the center stitch, so that's not quite even, and when I went to do the straps, sewing them together, they did turn out quite bumpy, so there's kind of a hard bump in the front where all the yarn was joined together. I don't really notice it when I'm wearing it, so I guess it's okay. I would knit this pattern again. I did really enjoy it, although the body, like, knitting this much of 3x3 ribbing on tiny needles is tedious for sure. But once I got to the top, it was so much fun. I learned a lot of new techniques, like binding off stitches and then continuing on and knitting the front and the back separately. So while I will knit this again, dreaming up all kinds of colors that I need in my wardrobe, I think I would try a different camisole pattern just for variety's sake before starting this one again. But I do think it turned out really nice, and after blocking, it looks so much better. Blocking really does a lot for these really stretchy camisole type pieces, because when I finished knitting it, it was like literally like this skinny. Again, it just looks a lot more polished and finished, and I just love blocking. Blocking is so miraculous. That is my super soft, squishy, stretchy, amazing camisole number 2 from My Favorite Things knitwear. My third finished object is the Manhattan hat that I started last month. Oh my gosh, today's June 1st, so yeah, all of this happened last month. I tried to film a few days ago, but it was not successful. I've been trying to, it took a lot more to get set up in this new apartment than I thought it would. I posted on my YouTube like community page the first day I tried to film, like 15 minutes in, there was a huge thunderstorm and the room went pitch black. I think I'm like southwest facing in this apartment and it's between a lot of taller buildings, so I don't get a ton of natural daylight in here. And during the thunderstorm, it was pitch black. You can go over to my like community page and see the post I made on YouTube. That's literally how dark it was in here. And the rain on the windows and like the air conditioner unit were so loud it started hailing at one point, and I was like, this is a wash. This is not gonna happen anymore today. The next day I tried to film again and had a little different setup, but it was just, I only had one of those mini tripods that are like, you know, this tall, and there was just nowhere to set my camera in a way that looked nice. So I had to buy a new tripod, which you are standing on right now. All that to say, again, I wanted this podcast to go up a little sooner, but just had to work with what I had. So my third finished object is the Manhattan hat. This is a pattern by Tori Knits NYC, and it was a great pattern. I knit this using Crochet Yarn's Big Brother Erin yarn in the color Fairy Floss, which is just divine. I love the speckling. I love the kind of like mystical unicorn tie-dye shades of like cotton candy and gray and peach and blue raspberry, and it's just so pretty. This fits my head perfectly, which is amazing because I was using an Aran weight yarn and the pattern I think calls for a worsted weight. I went up one needle size because I still kind of wanted that like flexibility of the fabric. So I knit one hat size down from what the circumference of my head is, and it worked out perfectly. It fits great. I did the single fold brim option because this yarn was so thick and squishy. I thought doing the double brim would be like, you know, I wouldn't be able to hear anything at that point. But yeah, I am really happy with how it turned out. I think it looks really cute on, and I feel like it will be a great piece for the fall. Like, it looks like kind of a neutral, even though there's so many colors going on, and I just feel like it goes with a lot of the shades that I wear during the cooler months. But because there's so many nice colors in it, it might like brighten up my outfits a little bit. I don't know. I remember in my last podcast I was going on and on about how happy I was with my knitting on this project, and when the decreases began, it all went away. I don't know if this yarn has a bit of a sheen to it, so it's a little bit more slippery than I've been used to, I think. And so I kind of just like lost control of my tension and had a lot of laddering problems up at the decreases. So I don't know if I wasn't taking my time enough or what happened really, but you can really see the problems on this side of the hat, which I'm calling the back. But I actually added in this line of stitches because this was like a 1/2 inch wide ladder, and I was reading that you can literally take like the bar of a big ladder and just create a row of stitches by going up and picking up, you know, as if it were a drop stitch, just like kind of creating another row, which I did because it would have had like, there would have been no warmth factor to this hat with a big gap in it. So that's what I did over here. It doesn't look the greatest. This side is a lot neater, although my stitches aren't, you know, this one's is a bit wider than the rest, and you know, it's okay. I don't mind too much, but I actually am looking forward to making this pattern again because I want to see if I can take things a little slower and maybe manage my tension a bit better and see, you know, I feel like this would be a good project to try again to kind of gauge my skill level and see if I've gotten better at stitching with an even tension, or if it really was just laziness that this arose from. Overall, I'm really happy with the hat. I will definitely knit it again. I want to put it on again because it's so cute, but I don't want to mess with my hair again. But this is such a great hat pattern. I really love all of Tori Knits NYC's patterns. I feel like a lot of them look beyond my skill set, so I was glad to find this one. It will definitely become a staple in my knitting repertoire, I guess. Yeah, I'm so happy with how this seems like a great yarn and hat combination to me. And I think I mentioned in my last podcast, this is called the Manhattan hat, and I used yarn that I bought at Knitty City during my last trip to NYC before I moved here. Wow. And so I just feel like it was a great pattern and yarn combination, and I'm just delighted with how it turned out. So that is my third and final finished object for the month of May. I'm really impressed that I got 3 projects done despite all the turmoil that I went through this month, but I did finish them all like the first 2 weeks of May, before my health crises became a lot more dramatic. I don't have a lot of progress made on my other projects, but I do have a new project, so that's what I'll share for my first whip, which is a crochet blanket. The first couple months that I lived here was really cold. Of course, now it's starting to get into the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and I don't need a throw blanket as much anymore, but I'm still gonna finish it for the sake of decor because it will look really cute with the bedspread that I bought for this apartment. So the yarn that I'm using is from Hobbii, and it's their 100% acrylic Amigo yarn, and this is like 2/3 of a skein in the color light peach, which is a beautiful creamy light peachy apricot kind of color. I'm not following a particular pattern, I'm just doing a lot of rows of half double crochet ribbing, so half double crochet back loop only. I think it was like 112 stitches I did across, but it's not super long yet. Or yeah, it's wide but not long. It's gonna be about 42 inches by 48 inches, I wanna say. I bought 10 skeins of yarn and I'm getting just over 4 inches of fabric from each one. When I was first crocheting in high school, one of the things I could not figure out was how to keep straight edges on like a scarf or a pot holder or washcloth, whatever. And I've since learned how to crochet edges straight, but when you're crocheting and watching a movie, things get a little out of hand. So we've got a little dip going on here. I've already determined I'm not gonna go back and fix the edges, but I am, yeah, so you can kind of see in the middle here, it's like, whoop, missed one. But I'm debating whether to put maybe a tassel on each corner or doing a fringe along the side to kind of disguise the issue, but I'm not sure. I might just want to keep it like a plain, just easy throw. So if you guys have any opinions on whether this blanket needs any tassels or fringe, let me know. But I've got about 1.5 or 2 feet done, and haven't worked on it too much, but I really want to get it done definitely first half of this month, which it's working up quickly, especially while I'm watching TV because it's such chunky yarn. I've used this yarn on my first crochet blanket that I made, except this thickness is the Giga, which I think is super bulky or jumbo, something like that. I used just the bulky weight on my first crochet blanket. So this one is a bit thicker because I wanted this blanket to work up a lot faster. And so I think once I dedicate a few more hours to it, we'll get close. So this is the only new project that I started during the month of May, and the rest of my whips we're just gonna breeze right through because there's not a lot of progress there. And then we'll get into acquisitions, which will take the most amount of time. So my socks that I started either end of April or beginning of May, I can't quite remember, are this pair of vanilla socks using Olivia and Oliver Fibers colorway in Pixie Dust, and the contrast color is Desert Rose. So I just did a 2x2 rib cuff of 20 rounds, and then I'm just doing a stockinette leg. And I think this might be exactly where I left off last month. I might have done 1 or 2 extra rows, but I haven't made a ton of headway on this. So I'm gonna try and crank through these the first half of June and get this pair done by, you know what, no, I've got other more pressing things going on. So this pair I'll just be working on kind of in the background during the month of June, I think, because I have a few other more pressing projects that I want to focus on. But I am really excited to see how these work up. I'm not going to be doing the contrast heel, but I'll be doing the pink color at the toe, because the heel is the worst place to change colors. I absolutely hate doing it. So I think pretty much doing contrast heels and toes is where my ideal sock pattern is going to be working out as. So again, not a lot of progress made, but I am really excited to see those socks get finished. Okay, I had to replace my camera battery, so sorry if the frame is a little bit off. My last whip from the previous month is my Sweetheart ribbed top from Friday Knits, which I am knitting in Barnyard Knits sock yarn in the color Cabin in the Snow. And I believe this color is currently available on her website if you want to shop it. It's absolutely beautiful and so much fun to work up. So many fun speckles and different colors in here, which creates an overall neutral shade. I just love it. I think this is about double what I had in my last podcast, but I'm still working on the body, so nothing, no interesting updates here of the Sweetheart top or the straps or anything. So I still got quite a ways to go on this, because I'm hoping to make it more of a traditional length tank top instead of a crop. But this is quite a bit more than I had in my last podcast. So that's the only update I have there, and I'm definitely looking forward to making more progress on this month. I would like to have done by the end of June, which I think is a very actionable goal. So that's that. And now the longest part of this video for this month's podcast is going to be my yarn haul. I already talked about the yarn I got from Hobbii, the Amigo yarn for my blanket, and then I picked out a couple other things from Hobbii. Oh yeah, they're right behind me, because I bought some yarn from Hobbii to start some of the other projects that I wanted to begin in May, which I didn't get to. I didn't get around to making any of the quarter length socks. I was really excited about trying out doing some socks with ruffles on the leg. I didn't have any mental space to start casting things on this month. So I am going to this month, what I'm really excited about. Some of the yarns that I got from Hobbii most of them are all sock yarns. So I got a variety of sock yarns and colors. No, I got one variety of sock yarn in multiple colors from Hobbii, and it is their rainbow 4-ply sock wool, which is 75% wool, 25% polyamide. And two of the colors I picked out are this natural color, which is a bit more sandy and brown based, and then this cream color, which is more of a true cream. Hopefully you can see the difference okay. But I actually thought these would be really cute together, either doing like a cream ruffle with a sand colored sock, or vice versa, doing like a contrast heel and toe. And these are each, how many yards? 229 yards. So these will definitely make a pair of quarter length socks. Sock yarn in a like hand-dyed hank is typically like around 400 yards. And I typically use just over half for a pair of regular length socks. So 229 might be enough to get a pair of regular socks out of. I have no interest in playing yarn chicken, so I'm not about to find out. But I will be interested to see how much of these are left after making a pair of quarter length socks. So that's gonna be one fun project that I'm really excited about. This does feel, it's soft. It's got a little bit of a rustic scratchiness to it, but again, things really work up differently than they feel in ball form, so we'll see. But those are the first two colors that I bought. The other two I got are these gray shades. So this one's a bit of a lighter gray and this one's a bit of a darker gray. I picked out these colors because of an Instagram post that I saw early on in my knitting career. I had no idea how to make socks, but I saw it and they just look so squishy, and the picture was so visually satisfying. I was like, I want to recreate this picture in my life. So the colors were kind of similar to this. I will try and add a picture into the video here so you can see what inspired me. I don't recall the colors, the color names of these. Maybe one's like asphalt or something. But this is color 10 and this is color 12 if you're on the Hobbii website. So I'm excited to make some basic socks with these. I'm just really interested in making everyday socks for myself, like not hand dyed, not like just everyday ankle socks, like really basic. Maybe I'm delusional about how much time they'll take me, but I feel like I can like knock these out in like a few days and have a nice sock wardrobe for myself. Like, will I ever have to buy socks again? I don't know. Maybe not. I think these ones will become like quarter length socks with a 2x2 rib cuff that's like 30 rounds, 40 rounds, like just enough to cover the ankle. I think it will be really cute. The last color of the rainbow sock yarn I got from Hobbii is this kind of evergreen color, and the color code is number 25. Color really goes with like so much that I have in my wardrobe. I have so much green, so many like nice deep jewel tones for fall and stuff, so I think this will be a nice color too. So I guess this one will be the test of if I can get a pair of the socks that I'm imagining out of one skein. We'll see. And then the last thing that I got from Hobbii was kind of a test color. I don't have the label on it anymore, but this is their Easy Care Classic yarn, which is 100% wool. Ever since Paisley Knits launched her Japan collection, which included the most perfect shade of yellow called Backpack, I have been wanting to make a bright, cheery, happy yellow sweater. And I just could not afford a sweater quantity of that yarn when it came out, which I'm really still devastated about. Hopefully, I kind of have my fingers crossed that she'll do a shop update after the Japan collection has shipped out and everything. Might have enough backpack for me to make a Sunday sweater out of, which would just be lovely, because this yarn did not turn out how I wanted it to. I swatched it with the lace weight yarn that I have in mind to pair it with, and it was just a bit too lemony. I don't know if you can kind of tell, this seems to have more of like a citron base than like a creamier color. Now, you know, I'm not sure what I want to do with this guy. I did swatch it with, I'm going to do my wool warehouse haul right after this one to show you what I swatched it with. And this isn't even like, it's not as soft as I want it to be. I'm just kind of not vibing on this one, so that's enough time spent on that. So I also placed an order. I'm gonna put these guys back up here so it looks adorable. I placed a wool warehouse order just to, you know, liven things up this month. The yellow color that I got to swatch with for my yellow sweater is Cumulus by Fibers Suri, which is my favorite yarn that I've never made anything with. I've got a sweater quantity back home in Seattle, but I haven't actually made a project with it yet, but it's the softest yarn in the whole entire world, and I just fell in love with this Buttercup color. I do think this is a nice kind of that creamier buttery color that I have in mind to make my Sunday sweater out of. So now I just need to find a worsted weight, hopefully in a natural fiber yellow, to pair with this Suri silk. So if anyone has any suggestions for where that yarn might be, let me know. So all these other colors that I got, I have in mind to make a Cumulus blouse out of the Cumulus yarn. Like, talk about a match made in heaven. Cumulus meet Cumulus. And there are so many amazing shades. I kind of want to hold two different colors together just to make a possibly marled depending on the darkness and the lightness of each shade, or just kind of a new color that's like, you know, kind of customized, I think would be really cool. So there's this shade of Cumulus called Early Gray that I just fell in love with. It's so luxurious looking. And I was like, what would the shade Natural, like what dreamy neutral would these two make together? Like this is kind of a nice like oudey, cloudy beige color, and I just feel like knit up together, these would be a really dynamo combination. I have in mind to like swatch several of these to see what's gonna be a good fit. So either that, or there's this pearl shade which has like a bit of a pink base to it, and you know, like the pearl with the Early Gray, or maybe the pearl with the Natural. Like, so I got all these nice kind of neutral shades to play with. And then they also have a true blush pink, which is called Blush, and then this peachy. And I'm like, these together, what? I mean, she has a type, folks. These together, like what kind of color would that make? Like a creamsicle, dreamy, I don't know. Or, you know, doing the pink with the natural color, like just like a soft like ballet pink. Oof. And then the other colors that I got are this one I've loved since the first time I saw Cumulus, which is called Water. Then there's this one, Sea Green. Like what kind of dreamy combination would that be? Like knitting these two up together, like this one will kind of brighten this one will kind of tone down this one. Like I want to know, I can't wait to swatch this. So this one I just got purely because of the name. It's called Mithril, which is a Lord of the Rings reference, so sorry about it. And then this one is called Ethereal, which is like this lavender shade that I'm obviously really into based on my manicure from a few weeks ago. Kind of a like desaturated, I know I keep saying cloudy, but it's like a cloudy lavender color. And you know, what would this make? Like kind of a darker, like these would be kind of marled, I feel like, because one seems so much darker than the other, but like it become even more of a neutral, adding the gray to the lavender, and like really excited about that swatch. And then these two kind of randos, I just like loved the color. This one is called Thistle, which is more of like a vibrant kind of wisteria version of the purple color I'm into right now. The last one that I had to throw in was this mint color, which is just electrifying. I love it so much. You know, I don't know, what color would this make? I feel like it'd be adorable. There's so many ways I could go. I just dropped all of them. I'm really excited to like swatch all of these up together and see what makes the best combination. Maybe I can do it in time for the next podcast and we can like vote on them, on what will become the Cumulus sweater. The sweater quantity I have back home is in the color Rust, which is absolutely gorgeous. I got it initially to make the Sunday cardigan mohair edition out of, but decided that wasn't the combination that I wanted to do. Thought about using the Rust for the Cumulus blouse, but it's so funny when I see a sample knit of something, whether it's like the cover of the pattern, like especially petite knit, my mind is like immediately drawn to making that pattern in that color. Like it's hard for me, like I can visual like this, you know, the sweater number one is made with like a cream yarn, but when I saw this yarn I was like, oh, like that's definitely what I want it to be made out of. But for some reason with petite knit, like I see her like rust colored Cumulus blouse and like my mind is like, oh, like I should make the Cumulus blouse in a nice rust color. And then like down the line I'm like, well, I don't want to just make, I don't want to like copy the sample knit, you know, like I want it to be a True Lane sweater pattern, like True Lane edition, you know? And I've done the same thing with the hipster hat. Like I bought this bright emerald Kelly green yarn to make the petite knit hipster hat out of, without realizing that like one of her sample knits is in almost exactly that color. And obviously they're a good combination. They work so well because I've already seen that combination of that color with that pattern, but sometimes I just feel like it stops me from thinking outside the box, and I don't want that to happen. So while I think like rust would be an amazing color for the Cumulus blouse, and I already have the yarn, I'm like, I want to be a little bit more original than that, which I feel like makes sense and is fine. But the other, I think this watercolor would also make an amazing cumulus blouse, but I think that's like literally the other color of cumulus blouse that she has. So for this one, I feel like we're off to a good start. Like I kind of really want a neutral cumulus blouse, so I'm kind of vibing on these, the early gray with the natural. Like I feel like that would just be such a nice combination, but I don't know, all these other colors are really calling to me too, so we'll see. I'll start swatching, I'll get on my swatch game, and if I can put these back in the bag, and maybe next podcast episode we can vote on some. Here we go. So I got a couple other yarns. I think maybe one from Wool Warehouse, which is this other sock yarn. It's called Opal. Most of it is in German, so it's like a sock wool, 4-ply, 100 grams. This one is 75% virgin wool, 25% polyamide. This is a pretty chunky skein for sock yarn, so I think it's probably getting closer to that 400 yard. Yeah, 425 meters. So this would make a pair of regular socks. Maybe I will do that. I've been wanting to make that sock pattern. It's like Hermione socks, I feel like. They've got a little like pattern to the leg. So I just got this one to try and see how I like the yarn worked up. You know, kind of try and find my like a good option for solid color socks of just like big box yarn that's easy to access. So I got that one to try, and I got two, that's right, I got two Drops sock yarns. Drops Nord is what I got, which is an alpaca blend. So it's a bit fuzzier, and it's so dark in here. I'm glad it doesn't look dark on camera very much. I mean, I think it's darkened since I started filming, but we'll get through it. But I can barely read. So this is 45% alpaca, 30% polyamide, and 25% wool. And I got, this one is like a chestnut brown color. Again, perfect neutral for a pair of everyday socks. And then this one is kind of a rose color. So this color code is, I really can't see. This color code is 22, and this one is number 13. Those are the two I got from Wool Warehouse to try out. And these ones will definitely make a small pair of socks. They're each 186 yards. So I think, so as long as each one doesn't take more than 90 yards, we should be good. I am really excited to knit a pair of socks with this one. I feel like they'll be quite squishy, just because I feel like alpaca is like a little bouncier than your standard wool. So I'm excited to try those out. The final part of my yarn haul is my Olivia and Oliver Fibers Acquisitions. Her Spring Meadows collection sung to me. It's so beautiful. I didn't have the money when she did her pre-order, I think in March, for the Spring Meadows collection. So I saved up all my pennies, and she did a shop update on May 6th that I got to order from, and I needed to have every color. They're so beautiful. I always say this, but she's really like my kindred yarn spirit friend. All of her colorways are just exactly my vibe, and her technique is so extraordinary and wonderful, and I might be her biggest fan. Like, I am obsessed with Olivia and Oliver Fibers. Obsessed. I got every sock set from this collection, and the first one we will look at is this sock set in Apple Blossom and Willow, which is a lovely light peach color with kind of deeper mauve speckles, green speckles, yellow speckles, everything that represents a blossoming apple tree. And then this willowy green tonal for the contrast color. Truly, wow. Like, this color is so dreamy. It might be my favorite. Well, I don't know. It's just, like, I highly recommend you go to her Instagram page, Olivia and Oliver Fibers, and look at the projects that she's made out of these yarns, because they are stunning. And she's still, I don't know if there's the fingering weight sock sets still available, but she still has sock sets available online, either DK or in the fingering weight. So definitely check them out. I'm so obsessed. But my favorite one from this collection might be this elderflower color, and the contrast color is in cotton. Wow. Like, this green, how do you make that green? I don't know. With the dark speckles and the golden speckles and the like dark purpley speckles, like, what? I can't. For some reason, elderflower has like this magical effect on me, kind of like ranunculus, if you've seen my past episodes. There's just something so amazing about elderflower to me, and I think it might have to do with nostalgia and college and Saint Germain, but I just love the concept of the elderflower, everything elderflower I love so much. And this contrast color is such a nice neutral, like I don't think she did, but I love when dyers show bare yarn next to a neutral that they've dyed, like this one, because it really just like showcases the like nuance of the dyes that they create. Because like bare yarn is such a like warm yellowy shade, and then you get this amazing cool, like, again, like odie neutral that it has like a brown base. Like I swear this is like brown yarn, but like heavily desaturated. Like I don't know if that makes any sense, but like I just love this cotton color so much. I actually got a 50-gram skein just of the cotton because I knew I would want to use this as a contrast color outside of just the sock sets I was purchasing, and so this will come in extremely handy with. And also I think with, I forgot to mention in my last podcast, one of the pre-orders that I did was from Olivia and Oliver Fibers Advent calendar, which I know she's opening up again in July for one last pre-order. So if you like any of these yarns that I'm showing, check out her Advent pre-order because you will love everything that's going to be in that box. I know I will. But you get a lot of mini skeins, and so I thought it would be great to make, like, use those mini skeins and have this like as a base, you know, for a pair of socks, or like making a stripy socks with the 20 grams from the Advent calendar and then using this as like heels and toes. I don't know, but I was so amazed that she had a 50-gram skein of this, because I was like, I don't really want 100, because like how many pairs of socks do I want to make using one color? And just the fact that she had a little half-size one was so ideal for me. So I got that one, and then the last sock set, so there's the apple blossom, the elderflower, and the last sock set is this one in scattered petals, which, how cute do they all look together? Just wondrous. So this is in scattered petals, and again this has the cotton contrast color. And this one I was not sure I needed, but the luau socks that I knit with my, that's the color name of her yarn, is my favorite pair of socks I've ever made. That one has a really similar speckling situation to this one, but on like a gray mushroomy base. So this has like teal speckles, green, bright pink, orange, all kinds of rainbow speckles, but on like a pink mauve base. So I knew that if I loved my luau socks that much, I would love these socks so much. I am not sure whether I want to do the cotton contrast color for this one. I might want to do something like crazy vibrant, like one of these speckles. So I, you know, because I'm always plotting my next Olivia and Oliver Fibers order. And actually on Friday, June 3rd at noon, she's launching a new sock set for Nitty Natty, is doing some kind of like sock shark week thing. Olivia and Oliver Fibers is one of the like sponsored dyers for the project. I'm not really sure what it is, but she's having a special sock set called Baby Shark for sale on Friday, June 3rd. So I really am thinking about snagging one of those, and like, because it's from the Netherlands and shipping is so expensive, I always try and order like more to get the shipping costs down. So we'll see if I snag one of those, but I might pick out a different contrast color for this yarn, just because it's so much, it's so powerful. I feel like it could really handle like a dramatic contrast color, so we'll see. That is my latest haul from Olivia and Oliver Fibers. All her yarns are just the sock wardrobe that I dream of. They're so nice. They're so nice. I can't say enough about Olivia and Oliver Fibers. And oh my gosh, so I'm living in New York City, right? When I placed this order, Tam, the dyer, messaged me on Instagram, and she was like, oh, I used to live in New York City 10 years ago. She worked here as a pastry chef. And she messaged me and said, I noticed your address when I was putting together your order, and I lived 1 block away from you. I was like, what? I don't know what this means, but it is cosmic. Like I said, this month has been really hard for me. It made me feel so much less alone, and like so not knowing that this knitting community existed 6 months ago, and now being a part of it and having like internet friends is just so incredible to me. There is nothing I love more than talking about yarn and knitting with everyone that I interact with on the internet. I love reading comments, posting comments, DMing people. I'm stoked on every yarn post, knitting post out there. And just like, I've had a few DM interactions with Tam, and she's just one of those people that I admire so much. I'm always shocked when they interact with me or follow me. Like, it was such a magical moment knowing that she was here 10 years ago, and now like 1 block away from me, and now here I am like knitting, like with this connection with her and with you. And it just like I said, I don't know what it means. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it was just incredible. And I don't know, I just feel, I get so emo thinking about Instagram and how much of a positive impact knitting has made in my life since I started in January. I'm literally losing my mind right now. Like, I can't believe I knit. I can't believe I'm making this video. I can't believe any of it. And yeah, so let's finish this up. I don't remember if I said that was my last haul, or my last acquisition, but it's not, because one of the things I did this month, towards the end of the month, I went to on a solo road trip to the Hamptons, which is on, if you're not familiar with the New York area, it's on Long Island, which is, the Hamptons are about a 2-hour drive in good traffic from the city. And so I rented a car, I drove through New York City and off to Long Island by myself. There is one yarn store in the Hamptons, in all of the Hamptons. It's called Black Sheep Knitworks. Is that right? Black Sheep Knitworks, yes, in East Hampton. And I was driving in on a Monday, and the store was closed Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So I was hustling to get there by 4 o'clock when they closed. I got there at 3:55, and the shop owner, Christine, was so nice to me. She was just in there like knitting on a sock, and I rolled in at 3:55, and I was like, I'll try and be quick. And she was like, don't worry about it, I'm just working on my socks, so take your time. So I got to shop to my heart's content, and the shop itself is so cute. It's the size of my apartment, a little bigger than my apartment, and it was just that perfect knitting store feeling. That's just, it's chock full of yarn. Like, you could just like lay against the wall, and like, that's how soft it all looks and feels. And so she had Hedgehog fibers, which I feel like they have pretty limited retailers in the US. Maybe not, I don't know, but she pointed that out as something that you can't typically find. So I was like, give me some of that. And then I always, whenever I'm at a local yarn shop, I try to buy something that you really can't get anywhere else, like that they, you know, dye either locally or, you know, is the store brand or has like the store logo on it or something like that. So I bought 4 things from there, and the first one is a Hedgehog Fibers Merino DK, which is in the color Ghost, but it's again in my dreamy kind of lilac lavender purple that I'm obsessed with right now. You can see my nails are a little more blue. This one's a little more of a pinky kind of lilac color. But I thought this would make a really cute hat. So I just got one skein of the DK and it's really soft, really squishy, 100% merino wool, machine washable. So I guess that must mean superwash. This skein is about 200 meters. It's 115 grams. Interesting. But I just thought this would make a nice hat, cute color, brighten up, you know, fall and winter. And hopefully I'll still be in love with this color in the fall and winter. I can't imagine not. And then the other thing I picked up is this pair of a worsted weight and a mohair. And this is their Black Sheep Knitworks store specific yarn. You can see their cute little logo there. And these are both in the color Dusty Rose, which my knitting for olive yarn is also Dusty Rose. So you can see very different iterations of Dusty Rose, but like this is showing up spectacularly well on camera. I'm very pleased. But like imagine a rose in this color with this like shade variation. Oh my gosh. Roses are another one of my favorite flowers. I just, that would be so beautiful. I had in mind to, I guess, make a hat out of this pairing. I've made a worsted weight plus mohair hat before and I really liked it. That was one of my first, I think it was my first knit project. And so I'm not sure if I'm gonna make this or maybe hold on to it to give away at some point. It would be really fun, I feel like, to give away a yarn that's like local to where I'm at in my life right now from East Hampton. So we'll see. But I couldn't walk away without this like wine color. I just thought it was so gorgeous. And then I spotted this project bag underneath all the other project bags. Found out Christine hand stamps these guys. This is her own design. And it's a little sunflower pattern with a yarn ball flower center. What? So cute. Sunflowers. Again, I love all flowers. Ranunculus, roses, sunflowers. Give me them all. And it has this really heavy pom-pom on the drawstring. And I just love this bag. It's so cute. Great size. Would fit a small sweater. Cannot confirm, but will predict. I just thought this motif was so cute. It's such a nice, thick canvas bag. It's got their cute little logo. Black Sheep Knitworks, East Hampton. I just have a feeling I'm going to be reaching for this bag a lot because it is so cute. That's everything I got in East Hampton at their lone yarn store. And I think that's everything for this whole podcast. I'm really looking forward to June. I feel like it's going to be a very productive month for me, I hope. If not, again, that's okay. But yeah, another whip I didn't get to cast on is my Rubus blouse that I'm so excited about making. A little bit intimidated to make, but I'm going to start it anyway. So I'm definitely going to cast that on at the beginning of this month. I'm really bummed I didn't get to last month, but again, I just had no mental capacity to start anything complicated. So I think that's why I turned to crochet to make a blanket, because crochet is so mindless for me, even though I can't count my stitches properly. It's a very comforting craft. Knitting is still a brand new venture for me, and so I think I really like dug into the crochet last month. Like I need something comforting. I think my like wrap up, my plans are exactly the same as last month. I'm looking forward to casting on a pair of ruffle socks, some quarter socks, my Rubus blouse, hoping to wrap up my Sweetheart rib top the first half of the month, and then casting on the Anchors tee that I have knitting for Olive's cotton merino for. What else do I have after that? I've got a couple socks on deck for this month, some hand-dyed yarn socks. So yeah, hopefully, let's see, I'm gonna set some goals right now. Next podcast, I wanna have my crochet blanket done. I wanna have my Sweetheart rib top done. Do I wanna film a podcast in 2 weeks? Will that keep me accountable? Will that stress me out? I kinda wanna try it. I'm gonna set a goal right now to have my blanket and my Sweetheart rib top done 2 weeks into June. Film another podcast and we'll see where we are after that. Thank you so much for watching this video and for subscribing if you already have. If you haven't, no big deal. feel free. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and turn on, I think I did these backwards. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you get an alert whenever I post a new video. I have started hitting the notification bell on everyone I've subscribed to because it comes in my notification. Like, I didn't realize how genius this is, because I subscribed to a bunch of people, but I realized I wasn't getting like told when they had a new video, and I was like, oh, that's what the notification bell is for. So if you want to do that, that'd be great. Leave me a comment what you worked on during this video, what you think your favorite combination of these cumulus colors might be. We can vote on it next time. That would be fun if I get my swatches done. Let me know if you think I should add tassels or fringe to my crochet blanket, if I should leave it plain. Don't know. Any other things that are on your hearts and minds today, feel free to leave a comment. And I'll catch you in the next video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.